People often come up to me on the streets and say, Tekking, how many fans do you have? I'm saying, listen, I only need one fan. Alright, so this is gonna be it. I think this is gonna be the end of the flashback. I figured there was a couple of more things that Oda wanted to show. Mostly things that were touched upon before, but we just needed a little bit more of exposition on here to kind of round everything out. So, I think this is it. I think this is the epilogue to the flashback, which is in of itself the prologue to the climax of the Wano arc, which will lead into the epilogue of said arc, which will then lead into the epilogue of the entire One Piece story. Well, not really an epilogue, more of a climax, because we're going to be getting to Laugh Tale, but then there'll probably be some kind of epilogue to the entire story as a whole. Everybody on board with me there? You good, Barry? Alright, this will be One Piece, chapter 973, titled The Kozuki Clan. Ho! Alright, so we continue on with the cover page, the cover series. We got Goaty coming to the rescue. Oh yeah, he's been beaten down for far too long. You know what? I'm kind of rooting for him now. Somebody I really didn't care about, kind of just like a side character, like, alright, here's Beiji's crew. You got Beiji, you got Chiffon, you got Vito, the guy with the giant hands, and then you got Goaty, which you'd think Goaty, just by describing him, big muscular guy with like a chain-powered bazooka on his arm, you'd think that would be cool, but he didn't really get a lot of chance to shine during Totland. So here, it's actually kind of nice, because he gets beaten down and we're thinking, oh, Goaty's out of it. But he's like, no, the captain and Vito are indisposed at the moment. I'm gonna be the one to save the day. This is Goaty's cover story now. Bring it on, Marines! Boom! And he just launches a giant attack at the Marine ship where they're carting away Chiffon. Big explosion. All the Marines are like, what do we do? Are we under attack? And Goaty's like by a building and he's like, may the mighty god Usopp guide my hand. I'm coming for you, Chiffon! Wolverines! So, I'm hoping this goes somewhere cool. Alright. So, we continue on with the flashback because here's the thing. Oden is dead, so what we really need right now is we need some good old-fashioned memories. We need, like, the Kozuki Clan picture book, and that's what we get. We go back in time, even, during the flashback, a little bit further, back when Oden and Toki and Momo and Hiyori were still journeying with Roger. We open up when they are descending from the Sky Island on the Octo-Balloon, the same way that the Straw Hats left on the Mary with the giant balloon octopus. That balloon octopus, man, that OG octopus, alright, that saved their asses during the G8 arc. Remember that? Okay. But anyway, yeah, so they're descending, and Oden is just holding up Momo as they're, like, looking out over the world, that amazing view that you see when you're descending from the Sky Islands, and he's holding up Momo, and like, Momo, look, everything you see before you will be your kingdom. I'm sorry, he doesn't actually say that, but I had to make a Lion King reference. But he's like, no, you see this, Momo? All of these amazing sights. The islands, the sea, the clouds. If I drop you, you're so totally dead. But no, the point is, these are all these amazing wonders that Wano could not possibly show you. So Oden is trying to, I think, instill in Momo his own desires of, like, and that's something like parents do. Like, Oden his whole life felt, stifled by the country of Wano and its traditions. He wanted to get out there and see the world. And so he's showing it to Momo, and he's like, Momo, look at this scene, and I want you to take all of this in. This is the world. This is everything the world has to offer, okay? I want you someday to, like, be inspired by this, and I think it's Oden's goal to have Momo to send out to sea and explore the world when he's older. So that's the basic idea there. We'll actually come back to this a little bit later because there's an interchange between Kaido and Momonosuke in this chapter on what Momo's overall goal is. So we'll get to that. We get a few other fun scenes there where, Oden is spending some fatherly time with his kids, really hammering it in now. He's just like, oh yeah, Oden's dead. Now let me show you some heart-wrenching moments when he was, bonding with his children. Remember when we descended from that sky island, we said goodbye to God. Remember when I got thrown in a giant pot of boiling oil and I threw my scabbards to save the day. Remember when? He's like spending some time with Momo and he's like, hey Momo, what kind of girls, what kind of ladies are you into? And Rayleigh's off to the side. He's like, he's way too young for that. I was like, I would have laughed so hard if Momo would have just been like he's an 8-year-old kid at this point, but we've seen what he's done. We see the kind of personality Momo has, you know, with Nami and Robin and every other, yeah. So I would have laughed if Momo, like, thought about it for a second and is like, well, Dad, I really like girls that have really large, and then Rayleigh's like, hey, stop that! You know, he's too young, you know? And then Oden's like, yeah, good kid, good son, there you go. We get some scenes with him and, this is hilarious. He's teaching Momo how to, like, sword fight, and he's just like, okay, Momo, here's what you need to do. The thing about using a sword is that I want you to imagine the person you're cutting down as a fish cake when you really bring that edge down, you know what I mean? And so he's like, what are you teaching him? I was like, I'm teaching my son how to be a fat freaking samurai, Rayleigh. This is how we do it, all right? So anyway, he gets some moments with Hiyori too, which is nice. He's not playing favorites with just Momo. Hiyori is learning how to play the shamisen at a very young age. Here, she probably would have only been like, well, I think that they cut in between scenes with them traveling with Roger, and then they cut to scenes with them back at Wano, all right? So it's just kind of like a slideshow sort of deal, like just seeing Oden spending time with his kids. And so, you know, Hiyori's playing the shamisen, and he's like, this is the song called The Princess of the Moon, or the Moon Princess, which that also ties back into something later on. Of course, the moon is something because Kozuki, the kanji for moon, is in there, so that, you know, harkens back to that, but also that connects back to Toki later on in this chapter. Odin says something that's really kind of upsetting here, honestly. Like, he intends it as a joke, but it's still kind of dark and messed up to say to his kid, because, you know, Hiyori's like, Daddy, I want to play to you a song I'm learning, and Odin's like, oh, okay, Hiyori, go ahead and play it, and she takes out the shamisen, and she's like, no, and she's playing the song, and Odin's like, oh, that's such a good song. Learn how to, you know, learn other songs, and, you know, get better and better at the shamisen. It's like, I will, Daddy, and then you can play the song at my funeral someday. I mean, okay, I get it. You know, if this was at the point when Oden was in the middle of doing his dance numbers and everything, he probably figured, you know, I'm probably not going to live a very long life, but dude, she's like 6, you know, like, that's kind of a messed up thing to say, even as a joke, right? And then later on, they're all taking a bath together, Toki, Oden, Hiyori, and Momo, they're all in the bath together, and Hiyori's crying, and you know, Oden's like, hey, Momo, what did you say to your little sister? Don't be mean to her. And Momo's like, Dad, it's what you said, I didn't do anything. You said you were gonna die. He was like, play the song at your funeral, what the hell? And Oden's like, oh, I'm so sorry, Hiyori, it was just a joke. I was just kidding. Yeah, your dad's never gonna die. Lightning cracks in the distance. Yeah, I'll be fine. Actually, I have kind of a funny story to tell you this really quickly. Okay, when I was probably in 5th grade, so I was probably 10 years old, my dad, we thought he had appendicitis because we woke up in the middle of the night and he's in incredible amount of pain. He's clutching the side of his body and he's in a lot of pain. And I've never seen my dad in that much pain before, you know. And so we had to call 911 and we had to get an ambulance. He had to go to the hospital. Turned out it was just a kidney stone, but I didn't. At the moment we thought it was his appendix was inflamed. It was about to burst. So he goes to the hospital and I'm really worried because I'm a little kid and my mom's telling me about appendixes and stuff. And this is the thing my mom said to calm me down, and she's like, oh, don't worry, it's just an appendix, it's not a big deal, I mean, they can cut it out of him and he'll be perfectly fine. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. And then my mom follows that up with, no, if it bursts, he could die, but, you know, I think that'll be all right. I'm like, why would you tell a 10-year-old child that, even if it's accurate? Damn, Mom. So I remember oh, that's good. What? No! So it was all right, my dad's fine, it was just a kidney stone, but damn, that was... Whew, that kind of reminded me of that moment there. All right, so we had some lovely moments together, but now we cut back to the, complete and utter death and destruction of the entire Kozuki clan and the burning down of their castle already in progress. So we cut back, we have Kinemon and the other Scabbards, and they are making a beeline from the flower capital straight to Curry. Keep in mind, this is not an easy journey. This is not just a hop, skip, and jump over the river and boom, you're in Curry by the castle, all right? They gotta travel through you know, because the Oden Castle in the Bakura district, that's in, like, the upper point of Curry. Now, I know on this map, you kind of have to turn it so it would be more on, like, the western part of Curry. They essentially have to escape the flower capital, get over a river, travel through the Kibi region, and then jump through another river or a bridge, and then they have to get back to Curry. So this is a journey, okay? And they are booking it as fast as they can, but unfortunately, Kaido is a dragon, and of course, Kaido and Orochi's forces are stationed all over Wano, so they're gonna get there first, pretty much. So all of the Beast Pirates are chasing after the Scabbards, and like, chase them down, they're unarmed! And then Kinemon takes his blades and, like, you know, foxfire, slices them down. Thank God for Shinobu. Shinobu, I guess, broke into the evidence locker at the prison gallery, or wherever she did, wherever they were hiding their weapons, so all of the Scabbards get their weapons back. Kinemon has his swords, Kawamatsu has his Sota Muso, I think the name of his sword was. They all get their weapons back. Kiku has a blade. They're all running through the forest, just cutting down Orochi's and Beast Pirates, you know, all Kaido's minions, trying to get back to Curry. In the meantime, Shinobu is like, hey, Kinemon, can I be a retainer of Oden too? And Kinemon is like, well, we all joined without asking, pretty much, so if you want to join, that's up to you. And Shinobu's like, yay! I was like, okay, for as best as it'll do you Shinobu has officially joined the party. Okay, great. So, they continue on. This is the moment where we get to see Nekomamushi and Inuarashi start to argue with each other. And the argument, because of what Neko said at the execution, remember after the execution ran down, after they reached the hour mark, and everyone was like, yeah, Oden did it! Nekomamushi was basically prodding Kaido and Orochi. He's like, yeah, take that, Orochi, take that, Kaido! All of the citizens of Wano are on our side now! Your days are numbered. And then Inuarashi was like, what are you saying, you stupid cat? Do not provoke him. So they're running and they're mad. You know, Inuarashi's like, you might as well have thrown Oden into the freaking grave yourself, you stupid cat. He's like, and then Nekomamushi's like, well, maybe you're the traitor they're talking about, you damn dog. And then they start arguing, and in the midst of that arguing, one of the numbers pops out of nowhere. Don't get too excited. We only see the silhouette, the same thing that we saw before. We don't get to see what they actually look like. But one of the numbers just, boom, just crashes into the trees and just, you know, grabs Inu and Neko and separates them from the rest. And they keep running, and they can't stop, though. Kinemon's like, well, damn it, we can't stop. We gotta keep moving, They'll be fine. Trust in them. What the hell is that thing? I don't know. A giant. A huge duck. I don't know. We have to keep going. We have to get back to the castle. So they keep booking. Ashura Doji and Denjiro end up getting separated as well, because there's just so many. Like, I imagine they're, like, you know, going back in a single line, and, like, there's Beast Pirates coming from behind, but also probably from other sides as well, trying to head them off, you know, like a pincer maneuver. And so Ashura Doji and Denjiro, there's too many. We'll hold them back. Kinemon, Kawamatsu, you go, Raizo, Kanjuro, go. And so that's how Ashura and Denjiro gets separated, so already down 4 Scabbards there. Kinemon's like, damn it, all right, we gotta keep moving, we gotta make sure they're safe. So now we cut back to the castle at Curry, and yeah, Kaido is already there. Kaido and his Beast Pirates have already arrived. You see King's silhouette there, they're hanging out. Toki is just holding on to her kids, and she's just like, it's okay, it'll be alright, we'll get out of this, I have an ability, we'll be alright. I'm waiting for the retainers to show up, and then I have a plan. Kaido arrives, though, and when I say arrives, I mean, he just storms right into their freaking room where they're staying, knocks out all the guards, knocks out Toki in the process. We don't actually see what he does. I imagine Kaido just walks in, either just, you know, uses conquerors to knock them all out, or just, like, you know, smacks them upside the head. They're all knocked unconscious, though. Hiyori's like, mommy, move! And meanwhile, freaking Kaido grabs Momo by the throat. And you know this is Kaido we're talking about here. It takes, like, this much effort, like, to crack a freaking toothpick. You know, that's all it would take, but he's holding himself back. He takes Momo, holds him over the freaking castle roof, and is just like, you know, what is your name, child? And Momo's being choked out, so he's like, he's like, your family line ends tonight. And Momo is remembering something his father told him, you know, and his mother as well. Like, if Oden dies, like, you're the one to lead this country, that is what you're going to do. And you gotta give Momo, I mean, seriously, 8-year-old kid, he musters up enough courage here to be like, I'm Momonosuke Kozuki, and I'm gonna lead this country someday. And he says it, and, you know, he's bawling his eyes out. He's a little kid, scared for his life right now, dangling over the edge of this giant castle on top of a giant mountain. So, you know, you gotta give it to him just for squeaking out that much, right? And Kaido's just looking right at him, and he's like, somebody else's dream that, you know, they force-fed you and you're just regurgitating. Yeah, I didn't know how much of a child you were. I think you really are a child. So basically, I guess from that perspective, by the way, we get to see Kaido's legs here, and he looks like he's a lot taller now. He has like kind of short, stubby legs now. A lot of people were pointing that out. I'm like, oh, wow, okay, yeah, what? I guess, you know, okay, so basically when Kaido took Oden's advice, like, you better train and get stronger and stronger, Kaido, Kaido's like, all right, arm day, every day, you know, 100 push-ups, 100 deadlifts, 1,000 deadlifts, no leg day, absolutely no running whatsoever, you know, so that's, I guess that's what he did, right? But yeah, you see his legs there, and it's weird seeing the comparison, right? But anyway, I think what Kaido's really going on about here is, like, he can look into Momo's eyes and he could see that he's not really... Yeah, Momo's just saying this because that's what his dad always told him, but that's not really his own ambition, or rather, he's too young. I mean, he's 8 years old, so it's just like, yeah, Dad, I'm gonna lead this country one day. You're gonna say that just because that's what your dad and your parents told you that's what your destiny is. He's not really at the age yet where he's like, I'm gonna make my own destiny. I don't want to lead this country. I mean, he's not really at the rebellious phase yet. So Kaido's just like, yeah, you're just a child. So he doesn't throw him over the side of the castle, thank God. He just kind of chucks him back into the room next to Toki and Hiyori. Ah! Hiyori! Ah, I saved you. Precious Komurasaki. Precious Komurasaki. But anyway, so yeah, Kaido he just transforms into a dragon. He leaves the castle, kind of circles around, and he's just like, we're burning it down, boys! So that starts up. This is where we cut back into the flashback. This is where it meets up from the part we already knew about when Kinemon was talking about this with the Straw Hats. So pretty much, like, we saw a bunch of scenes that were in, like, silhouette. Now we see these scenes, you know, fully realized. So the scene with Toki, you know, bleeding, clutching Hiyori and Momo, that's the scene we see right here. And so Kinemon bursts in, and he's like, the whole castle's on fire, and he's like, Lady Toki, are you alright? And she's like, yes, I am. And then you just have a scene with Kinemon, like, the future, and then we just cut away because we already got that part of the flashback where Toki explains the time fruit, what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you 20 years in the future. You guys take Momo. Kawamatsu, you guard Hiyori, because I have to make sure, like, if this plan doesn't work, there has to be a member of the Kozuki clan that still survives. So she gives Hiyori to Kawamatsu. Kawamatsu takes her, escapes through the waterways. We see that. We see Kawamatsu swimming away. Something else that was seen in silhouette earlier on in the story. And so, yeah, we don't really get to see the scene where Toki, like, you know, pings them into the future. We just get a scene with Kinemon, like, the future, and then cut away to Kawamatsu escaping. But we do add a little bit more to this story that we didn't know about, alright? So, we were under the impression that Toki died in the castle. Like, after Momo and the others went to the future, after Kawamatsu took Hiyori, we just assumed Toki was left in the castle to burn, and then she chose that. She's like, you know, I fell in love with Oden, I traveled through 800 years of time itself many times, but this is where my story ends, basically, here in Wano with Oden. You know, I'm gonna die alongside him, right? So no, what actually happens, though, is her last act of life, Toki actually gets on a horse, breaks through the barricade of the Beast Pirates, like, because, you know, they're watching a castle burn down. They're probably, like, not thinking about, oh, crap, a horse, and it just starts booking away. Like, who the hell was that? Find him, you know? And so Toki's riding on the horse, and she's, like a head injury. She's bleeding, and she manages to get all the way back to the Bakura district. Everybody in the district, of course, it's right next to the castle. It's, like, spitting distance of the castle. So everyone's watching the castle burn down. Night is beginning to fall, and, of course, the people of Wano are very superstitious. So they're like, this is all punishment from above. This is punishment because we didn't believe in Oden. We didn't trust in the Kozuki clan. We are being punished with this, you know, this horrible night that will never, ever end. It will never be dawn again, so to speak. But at that moment, and oh, by the way, something to keep in mind here, one of the translations I read, the first translation, like the scans, actually did not have this page in it. So this is why, like, I know, like, the scans of this were out like 2 days ago, and I read them then. Like, as soon as, like, even the spoilers are out, I read the spoilers to kind of know what I'm going to be, you know, reading and stuff, like what to expect from the chapter, but this is the reason why I wait a little bit, because these scans were missing a page. So the page in question is actually really relevant because it's a moment, it's another flashback with Oden and Toki where they're just kind of chilling out outside by themselves just talking, and Oden is telling Toki, I think, about his adventure at Laugh Tale with Roger and everything. He's just like, you know, hey, Toki, you've been searching for the world that'll be upturned, right? You're searching for this one part of history, right? That's why you've traveled through time. Well, you can use your power to skip 20 years in the future and you could be there. Oden is bringing this up. He's just like, we arrived at Laugh Tale a little bit too early. You know, we have to wait. Like, Roger didn't make it. Roger died. All of us, you know, have to wait the 20 years, but you don't have to. You have the time powers. You can skip to the future immediately. And Toki seems kind of offended by this. She gets up and she's like, that's it, Oden. No dinner for you tonight. And Oden's like, what? Oh, I'm sorry. And so the implication here is that, you know, Toki's like, you know, how dare you say that I'm gonna, like, skip out on my family or skip into the future, because, like, Toki found what she was really looking for here, her family, even if she did have, like, another duty to, like, you know, before, where it's like, you must travel to a very specific time in history, that's your duty as the bearer of the time fruit or whatever, she found her purpose here, right there and now, so she refuses to jump to the future because she doesn't want to, even if you could bring, you know, Oden and everybody with her, I think she just, like, no, Oden, I'm going to stay here with you, and you would want, you know, to stay here with me, right? That's what I get there. So we cut back to the present now, where Toki arrives at the Bakura district. Remember, the Bakura district is, you know, divided from the leftover town, although I guess it might be a leftover town at this point, because Orochi's been in control for a long time, probably is. But anyway, yeah, there's that gateway, that Japanese torii. It's basically an entrance to, like, a shrine, like that archway you see, like, okay? So Toki is standing in that archway, that torii, and she's just like, you know, I will, you know, the sun will shine again, the dawn, your wish will come true, the Kozuki clan will return, you know, the dawn will be brought by the 9 red scabbards, you know, the light will be extinguishing the night, all that crap. She's being a little bit more poetic with it than I am, really. I would have just been like, hey, I can see the future, 20 years, they're gonna come back and save us all right, peace, you know, Chopper, no! I don't know where the thumbtack went. Chopper, you need to quit falling down. This is an omen. I'm not looking, this isn't good. Alright, anybody big Chopper fans out there? Because I'm not thinking this is going to end well for him. Alright, anyway. So, yeah, that was Toki's last message there, and what happens is, in the crowd, there's a member of the Beast Pirates that's just kind of like watching her give this speech, like this final prophecy, just bathed in the fire of the castle in the background, and the member of the Beast Pirates is just kind of like sneering at her and takes out a pistol and, like, cocks it, and we don't get to see, but it's implied that, you know, Toki is shot, and that's how she dies, right there. So then we cut back a few days later now into the Flower Capital, where Orochi is terrified, and he's like, you know, I told you to make my bathwater boiling, and it's like, you know, Lord Orochi, later Shogun, we made it hot. He's like, I didn't say I wanted it hot, I said I wanted it boiling, I want it scalding, don't you understand? And they're like, okay, Shogun, we'll do that. So they make the water in his bath, like, scaldingly hot, and he sits in it, and all of his attendants are just like, you know, Lord Orochi, you will get burned, be careful. And, you know, Orochi's in the bath, and he's shaking, and he's like, I just can't stop shaking, you know, where are their bones? I need to know. And so this is where, like, the paranoia starts here. Some people have mentioned, like, this proves that Orochi is immune to fire, or heat, you know, kind of like Daenerys Targaryen, I guess, because, you know, he's in this bath of scalding hot water, but I didn't get that. It didn't seem like he's immune to it. It just seemed like, because this isn't boiling oil we're talking about here, it just seemed like, yeah, he was so afraid of the Kozuki clan at that point, that paranoia of what they did. He's like, where are they all at? Where are they at? We need to know! And so he's shaking that much for that reason. He probably did get scalded a little bit, but you know, maybe it might have something to do with the Yamato no Orochi fruit. I could see that, but I just didn't get the implication right here that he would be, like, burned, you know, scalded, you know, that's like he's immune to fire or anything like that. But yeah, that's what's going on with Orochi. He's, this is going to be the start of a journey with him. So now we cut to see what's going on with the other members of the Scabbards, the ones that did not make it to the castle, the ones that, you know, couldn't manage to make it to the future. We don't know what happens with Neko and Inu. We assume they escaped the numbers somehow managed to get a boat and somehow managed to sail all the way back to Zou. I would have been interested in knowing exactly how that went down, but it's okay. We might explain it later. I don't know. But they managed to get away, of course, because they eventually get to Zou where they meet the Straw Hats. We cut over to Head Mountain, Atama Mountain, where we see Ashura Doji, and he's there, and he's all bleeding, and he's covered in wounds, but he's fine. He's like, he made it to a safe place, and he's like, Toki, what is this, 20 years? Are they really going to come back in 20 years? And he's just sitting there, like, nursing his wounds, and this makes sense. This is where he's at. He starts up the Mountain Bandit crew, and he starts, you know, ruling over Curry kind of in that capacity as Shuten Maru. Then we cut over to Kawamatsu. We saw this scene earlier where he was doing the Kappa dance to kind of cheer Hiyori up back in silhouette, and now we see him, you know, in full view, like, Kappa, 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 come on, Lady Hiyori, it's okay, just sing the Kappa dance. That is so damn sad when you actually think about it. I mean, I want you to seriously imagine this, okay? Their entire house, their castle burns down. Toki and Oden are dead. Momo's gone. This poor 6-year-old girl loses pretty much everybody in her family. Even her own retainer, she only has one of those left. And so she gets away, and they take her, you know, Kawamatsu finds a safe place out in the woods and, like, dries her off and everything. Like, it'll be okay, Lady Hiyori, it'll be alright. And she's probably sitting there, like, crying, like, where's my dad? Where's my mom? It's like, oh, it'll be okay, Lady Hiyori. We'll find, they'll be somewhere. They'll be along. We'll find your mom at some point. Yeah, and your brother. We'll see him. And so she's just like crying, and he's like, Kappa dance, Lady Hiyori. God, that's freaking depressing, is it not? All right. Well, anyway, what about Denjiro? This is the big one, all right? And this is going to lead into the end of the chapter, all right? So Denjiro makes it to the, I believe it's the same Enma shrine that we saw before when Komurasaki, Hiyori, and Zoro were, you know, leaving the capital. They made it to the Hakumai region where they had the shrine to Enma. Seems to be the same location there, and that's where Denjiro ended up, okay? So Ashura Doji ends up in the Kuri region. I think Kawamatsu, well, he spent some time in Ringo, but I think he was just traveling around with Hiyori trying to keep her safe, so they probably traveled all over the country, but maybe they were in Udon or Kibi, and Denjiro made it to the Hakumai region, okay? So it seems like we cut through some time here. There's like a little bit more of a time skip. We don't know how long, but it seems that Denjiro spends most of his days in this shrine just like, you know, just yelling and crying in sheer rage. Like so much that his face actually contorts in pure rage, you know, and so it becomes like this, you know, where his eyes get really narrowed, and he's just like, Orochi, Kaido, damn it! He just keeps like punching the wall, and that just goes on for like months/years, you know. We cut to, now it's winter by the time he finally emerges from this shrine. He wanders out, and his hair has just gone white. His face looks completely different. He's not wearing his shades anymore. It's really sad, too, because we see an image of him in this old man appearance where we see an image of his younger, more, you know, cheerful self next to him, and that's really sad. So he emerges from the temple. He's all raggedy, covered in dirty clothes, probably just living he was probably just living as a mountain man for a couple of months, if not years, you know, until finally he emerges and decides to wander into the capital. So he does that. He just wanders into the capital just like a broken man, and then some people are trying to, you've seen this in movies before, I'm sure, plenty of times, where it's just like, hey, he's like, what's this guy, where's this old man going, you got some money here? You ever watch Better Call Saul? There was a scene where this happened just the last episode. Mike beats the crap out of a bunch of people, you know. Anyway, so you know, they're wandering toward Denjiro, and he's just like, you know, oh, hey, what are you doing here, old man? And Denjiro just like, boom, just knocks him into the ground like that. And then the guys, they're like, 1 second they're like, we're gonna rough you up, old man, and he just like knocks him to the ground in like one maneuver, and then they get right back up, and he's like, we'll follow you anywhere, sir, what's your name? And he just kind of turns to them, and he's like, huh? I'm Kyoshiro the Mad. They're like, all right, Kyoshiro the Mad, you're our new boss. I'm like, oh man, these guys made a flip really quick, right? So some more time passes, and Kyoshiro manages to gain some more power in the capital, gets some fancier clothing, gets his hair done, gets like a perm kind of thing going on, and he finally gets an audience with Orochi. Orochi's like, Kyoshiro, I've heard a lot about you in the flower capital. People say you're really strong. How about you protect me? And Kyoshiro's like, it would be an honor, Lord Orochi. And you see him like bow down, but you also see him like, it would be an honor, Lord Orochi. I'll provide you men and money and women and, weapons, whatever you so desire. And Orochi's like, that is good, because I must defeat the Kozuki clan. They're gonna come back someday, It's like, yes, sir, I've heard of this. It might just be a prophecy. No, I hear they're just somewhere waiting in the country, right underneath my nose. Kyoshiro's like, yes, sir, well, we'll find them. He's like, yes, we should. It's a good thing I have you on the team, Kyoshiro. You seem like a forward kind of thinking man. You know what? I'm gonna make you head of the Yakuza! Yakuza! So, it's kind of funny when you look at it from that perspective. Like, I'm looking for those Kozukis! It's Kyoshiro's right there. Okay, anyway. So, Kyoshiro, that's the story of how Denjiro became the head of the flower capital Yakuza. Succeeding Hyogoro, of course, and we figure out from there on. The people in town are like, wow, Kyoshiro's he's such a chivalrous man, so magnificent. He only has the one weakness. He always looks like he's about ready to fall asleep. Hence the term napping Kyoshiro. So there you go. That connects that back to there. Also remember that one scene where Kyoshiro blocked one of Zoro's attacks? Yeah. And also, of course, the scenes where, Kyoshiro is very obviously trying to get rid of Orochi. It all ties back now. Now, you might say, that is a huge, huge, earth-shattering discovery that Denjiro this entire time was Kyoshiro. I don't know how you could have possibly seen this coming. Unless, you watch the opening to the anime. Because that kind of did it right there. I mean, there were people, even before the opening came out, there were people that were like, Kyoshiro is Denjiro, his appearance changed, but the opening all but confirmed that, because in the opening of Over the Top, we see scenes with all of the Scabbards, and we see, Kinemon and Kiku, Kanjuro, Raizo. Kawamatsu is in silhouette. But then we get to Ashura Doji and Kyoshiro in the background. So there you go. There were some people that were thinking, well, maybe they just threw Kyoshiro in there as like a placeholder. It was so obvious from that opening. I started to think, it's so obvious. I don't want that to be the case. But it turned out to be the case. I just don't understand, how did Oda, sign off on that? I don't get it. I really don't, because Oda obviously doesn't, make the anime or the openings, but they have to, consult him for some things, I would assume, right? He's like, hey, Oda-sensei, did I say Oden again? Damn it. Hey, Oda-sensei, we're doing the new opening for the Wano Country arc. We want to have a scene in the opening where we show all of the Scabbards, but we don't know what Denjiro looks like. There's so many different ways they could have done this. Number one, they could have just shown Denjiro in silhouette like they did back in chapter 920, or Kawamatsu in the opening. They could have just done that. Have a silhouetted ponytail guy in the background. There you go. That would have solved it. Or you could have used Denjiro from the flashback when he was younger. You could have just showed a younger Denjiro in the background, because that's not going to spoil anything, just what he looks like in that capacity. But no, they decided to use, I don't get that. Because this happened, the opening's been on for a couple of months now. If this was okay, if this was the opening was just started last week or 2 weeks ago, and now we find out Kyoshiro, I'd be like, alright, I could get it. But this opening's been on for ever since Wano started, months and months ago. Back in July, August, we got this information, right? So it's wow, really? Okay, I'm a little bit confused on the thought process there. If Oda's oh yeah, it turns out Kyoshiro's gonna be Denjiro, just throw him in the title and everything will make sense. I don't get it, I really don't, but Kyoshiro is Denjiro! Oh my god, that's so surprising! Also, but, we do get another twist, and it turns out that Denjiro, who is Kyoshiro, is also the Witching Hour boy. I'm just glad we got that solved finally, because that's been like, who's the witching hour boy? Is it Yasu? Is it Izo? Is it someone else random? It's Kyoshiro. It was Denjiro the whole time. I'm like, all right, fine. All right, at least that part of this story is finally resolved. Okay, so Kyoshiro living in the capital. Daytime, he was the Yakuza boss. Nighttime, he was, stealing from the capital, stealing from the coffers, and giving them to the less fortunate people of the leftover towns. All right, fine, I'm good with that. Now we cut over to the last scene of the chapter, though. This is when Hiyori decides to leave Kawamatsu. I guess they're in the Udon region at this point, and, Hiyori leaves the letters, like, I'm sorry, Kawamatsu, because you go hungry, because you're looking after me. I'm gonna try to make my own way. Don't worry about me anymore. And Kawamatsu, also very sad, because this is, like, the one job he was given. Everybody else, all of his friends are gone or dead in his mind, and because he can't find Ashura or Denjiro anywhere, so he's all by himself. The one thing that's keeping Kawamatsu going is, like, I have to protect Hiyori, and then Hiyori just disappears one day. The level of just suffering and misery Kawamatsu felt in that moment. He's like just tears streaming down. No, Lady Hiyori, no, where'd you go? Where did you go? And so eventually Kawamatsu's gonna go to Ringo, and he's gonna start working with, Gyukimaru. He's gonna become Gyukimaru with the fox, Onimaru, and he's gonna work together and get the weapons together and start that cachet, sure, but you still feel bad for the poor Kappa dude right here, alright? So meanwhile, in the flower capital, Hiyori is just wandering around. This is 7 years after this, so she's like 13 at this point. So she's just wandering around the capital, and some people find her and bring her over to Kyoshiro's, like, the brothel, I guess, the place where courtesans are trained and all that stuff, and geishas and things. And so they bring her in first, like, oh, are you okay, little girl? Come with us. And so she brings, them up until Kyoshiro's like, hey, boss, Kyoshiro, we found this girl wandering around the flower capital. She looks really hungry. What do we do with her, poor thing? And Kyoshiro looks at her and notices it's Hiyori immediately. It's like, yeah, bring her up here. And so they get like a private room, and Kyoshiro bows before Hiyori, and it's just like, it's me, Denjiro. And she's like, oh, Denjiro? And so he's like, yes, this face you see has been contorted by a beast called rage. But anyway, yes, I'm here to help you. So what we're going to do is that you're going to take on the name Komurasaki, and we'll train you here as a courtesan, and you'll be safe with me, and I'll look after you, in place of Kawamatsu. In exchange, though, Hiyori, you cannot tell anybody your real name. You can't tell anybody about that, and you also can't tell anybody, even your allies, even the people you trust, who you really are, until that day arrives. So it seems like Denjiro, all the way until the very end, because Ashura Doji was a little bit skeptical. He got a little dubious. Kawamatsu ended up getting locked in a cell in Udon. But Denjiro, to the very end, he still believed they are going to come back. 20 years, it's going to happen. It's been 7 years at this point, so 13 more years, they're going to be here. We need to be there to help them. Do not tell anybody your real name except for me. I'll work together with you, and I'll keep you safe. And so, of course, this connects back to Kyoshiro and Count Komurasaki, working together for the whole, like, I'm going to cut you down, but she's really alive. That connects back to that and all that stuff there. And so that is the end of the chapter. And I believe, because we end with the chapter with a shot of Hiyori Komurasaki grown up, age 26, as we see her. So I think that's going to indicate that's the end of the flashback right there. Okay, so what did we learn from this little adventure, ladies and gentlemen? What did we learn from this 14-chapter flashback? Well, we learned a few things. We learned, number one, Oden's got mighty balls of tungsten. We also learned Kaido skipped leg day. We learned Kaido is a duck in connection with that. We learned that Shinobu really had it going on back in the day. We learned Kawamatsu's story is extraordinarily depressing. We learned cats and dogs really don't get along. And at the end of it all, we learned about love. That's a beautiful way to end this. Have a great night, everyone. Okay, no, okay, so, just as a quick reminder from where we're at right now in the current story, all of the Scabbards are on a dock in the Udon region. It's storming, it's lightning crashing, and they need to get to Onigashima. The rebellion that was apparently supposed to meet there did not show up. There was signs of a struggle and a battle. No idea where the Straw Hats are at. No idea what Law's up to. Last time we saw him, he was in the prison. Jinbei's still probably going to pop in at some point. Haven't seen seen him. Nekomamushi's still not on the island. The rest of the samurai forces that are being armed by Gyukimaru and everybody, we don't know where they're at. Yeah, so that's where we left off in the present story. I feel like it's kind of pertinent to tell you that, because I think the last time we were in the present story was like in October or very early November, and it's already March, so yeah. Long ass flashback. I need to go back and I need to check how this stacks up to all the other flashbacks and the other arcs of One Piece. Flashback arcs like the post-war arc, where we had the whole flashback with Luffy and Sabo and, Grey Terminal. Holy crap, I don't know, that flashback might even be shorter than this one. I'm not actually sure. I have to go back and check, because that was a long flashback with Luffy's past, but this one also might be a contender, because that's pretty damn long for a flashback. And it feels longer because there were a bunch of breaks in between. Like, there were, I think 3 or 4 breaks throughout the course of this. Plus, it was right around, you know what it was? It was because it was right at the end of the year this flashback was happening, so it was like 3 weeks of a break, because of the holidays, and, Oda went on holiday as well. So that's why this feels as long as it did. But still, 14 chapters, pretty long for a flashback. But anyway, I'm excited to get back to this story. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. The final battle. It's starting. Oda, please don't prove me wrong on this, please. Final battle starts. Let's do this. Let's just dive right in. Tekking101, signing out.